Well, the final buzzer is just about set to go on the Flow Sports Fix on this Tuesday, so it's time to get our ticket and get on board.
All aboard the Sports Express, your ticket to sporting news.
Crazy as it seems, some of the biggest stories to come out of the long weekend in sport actually have nothing to do with the sport that was actually being played. It's all these sort of side stories that have popped up. So let's start with AFL. The star of the round in AFL was not a player. It was, in fact, a feathered creature, a pigeon. During the Geelong-Hawthorn match, it dominated social media in particular for the first quarter because it just didn't want to leave. You know, sitting there on centre ground, and they tried to, move it along. Didn't want to budge. It's like, nah, I'm a part of this team. I'm playing for whoever's winning at the moment. I think it was Geelong for the record. And while in nature, both a cat and a tiger would probably gobble up that pigeon, had nerves of steel and just did not want to move. Eventually flew off on its own. They were hoping it didn't come back, but nothing else in the game dominated like that pigeon. And then you look over and you change codes. We have a look at what's going on in NRL. And another side story has sort of dominated the headlines, not in a funny way, but this awful fight that went down after the Eels win over the Tigers. It was sickening, really. Fans throwing punches at each other. This crazy fight just breaks out. In the end, it was 2 Eels fans and a Tigers supporter involved in the altercation. And naturally, in a time where everyone has a smartphone, it was caught on film so we can see exactly what happened. And we know that eventually a security guard managed to intervene and separate the men. But how sad that a fantastic game and a fantastic win was overshadowed by such ridiculous, stupid behaviour in the stands. And then finally, the other big story that I am super pumped about is the fact that the Space Jam trailer is out. So I was prime demographic when I was a kid. Michael Jordan, he was the king. He was in the Space Jam movie. It was awesome. Looney Tunes were still kind of relevant back then. Don't see a lot of Looney Tunes anymore. But the new trailer with the new king, LeBron James, it looks epic. It looks awesome, and I can guarantee you I am going to be dragging every single person I know. My kids, my husband, and I know he's not going to need much convincing, but definitely going to be educating my kids on Space Jam. But I would highly recommend you check out the trailer. It looks pretty darn good.
It does indeed, and Courtney will be back with her Sports Express on the Breaky Flow tomorrow morning between 6 and 9, right here on Flow. Well, just before we go, just to wrap up a couple of things on the event side of things, the first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greece, after a break of 1,500 years on this day in 1896. The Golden Slipper Stakes were held for the first time on Sydney on this day in 1957. We lost great Aussie cricketer Bill Ponsford on this day in 1991. He was 90 years of age. And the Sydney Kings won their first NBL title on this day in 2003. It's been a fun show that we've brought to you this evening. We're looking forward to doing it again tomorrow. Lots more to cover on the Sports Fix. Listen out for that. You can also download the podcast version so you can listen at any time you like. And of course, check out the articles that we're putting up in the sports section on the Flow website, flownews24.com.au. Have a wonderful evening. We'll catch you again and keep sporty.